Hello there everyone, and welcome to Holdfast. Now, normally I'm part of the line leading it around, but this time around I have been so unfortunate as to burn my hand pretty darn badly on the stove. And so it's full of blisters, and I don't really have what it takes really at this point to lead the line. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna take the less stressful thing and be an eye in the sky, do a Chadman, as I usually say, and fly around and look at the event from above. In this event, the 77 is playing on the British side. We might as well go ahead and show a bit about how many people have turned up. So it's a large event. We got 92 on the British side, 82 on the French side. Of these 92, I'm over 44, I think we've brought for this line battle. So that's we've almost brought half of the British team just from the 77th. And as we're approaching Christmas, they've decided to fill the sweeping deserts of Egypt with snow. So we've got that Christmas feel going on. I'm not entirely sure because I've removed all HUD, so I'm not entirely sure. Oh, the French are already up in force. They were quick this time around. Or maybe it was the British who were slow. I imagine because we got quite a lot of troops running this way that we have the 77th lines moving here. Oh, someone has already been shot. Possibly first casualty here, at least for the British side. Or he goes there, or maybe he's just lying there trying to make a snow angel. But one of his arms is not working. Right, so we've got one line here standing in reserve. We've got another one behind the hill, while this one is the one taking up the fight with the French across there. Two British just fall. And as that happens, we've got another French line turning up over there. Actually, two! And this line right here is getting massacred by the superior French force. And this regiment right here realizes what is going on and is retreating. The British are being hammered. The French were quick to move into good positions early on, and they're hammering the British, which I think at this point is probably best to fall back, amass, and regroup. But it's hard to coordinate all the different lines. So even though 77 is half of this, so they can coordinate in a much closer way than the others. It's hard when you get that sort of. It's hard to come back from an early mistake like that. We've got a very nice French line here doing double ranks. They can afford to do double ranks because they have the advantage on the enemy at this point, and they're doing well. Normally, I wouldn't recommend going double line, especially when the enemy is doing single, just because of the increased losses you will take. You can see the men getting hit here, but they're getting hit at such a long range that they're only getting wounded. I really like double lines though, it looks better, and it forces us. I'm not entirely sure. Well, that guy didn't sit down and he paid for it with his life. So we're gonna leave these guys, but that looked pretty nice. We can see though that when they're actually getting fired upon, they're taking casualties. They just lost the drummer. They're losing people here, compared with the British, which are in a pretty good position across that, using the sand dune as cover, while the French are left more or less out in the open here in double line, creating a very nice big target for the enemy. Let's see, boom! Always love a good two-ranked volley. Let's see, where are the others going? We got a lonesome French officer running about, not entirely sure what he's doing. But looks like it might have been so that the 77 did what I predicted, or what I thought should happen here, is that the British team should fall back. Now, obviously, it's easier for me to say it because I'm the eye in the sky and I can see where all the lines are. It's very hard to get that sort of idea when you're in the field. The French, they are relocating through the ruins, and we can see them organizing in this area roughly, while we've got the British team mostly organizing here, except for a few that actually are going to flank in and come to attack the French. Now the French could redouble their effort, go back into the ruins, and sort of split. As the British team is now split off, there's a possibility of them being able to take out a part of the British team here. Now the British are... Ooh, they're losing some people here. This line, they're trying to wiggle about, trying to go through the cover there of the ruins. They lost 2 people there in the doorway. Ooh, they've got a nice position here, but it's really close to the French guys. Ooh, they're getting kills there though. They're getting good kills. They got the grenadiers, and then they're going in for the charge, making sure that the French cannot fire. Some of the one French guy actually fired. That is technically out of order, or out of the it's against the rules. It's frowned upon to fire in charge in most line battles. And it looks like the smaller British line, even though they took heavy, I mean they're dead, but if we compare the casualties here, there were a lot more French people dead. These 2 are spooning right here. We need to go and take a closer look at that, of course. Got the double line, the double line, or the double column regiment is still operational, although it looks like they have moved into single line, and seemingly they prefer to have that slow walk pace as we saw earlier, but they're now advancing towards the British spawn. The British are just off to the right of their spawn, but from our angle, of course, they're off to the left. Now the French have been able to take a very good position here behind these sand dunes. They can cover much of their body and deliver a lot of shots here. The key here is to, as it's sometimes called, is the hill glitch, where you, if we look from the British side, the British also have a bit of cover here, but we can see from this side that the French are actually standing. They probably could stand a bit lower, which they just backed down. They could, you know, like that. Now we can only see their heads, so they are able to fire at that, while the British have a real hard time to aim and get a shot off and kill someone over there. Really nice big line battle. This little company has lost a lot of its members, but they're still... Oh, there goes the captain. And now they're running about like headless chicken. They are forced to... I imagine they probably should join another line. They might still stay on their... Oh, they've got an extra officer, or I guess he's stunned. He's just standing there. It's hopeless. Everything is lost. Oh, now he actually woke up. I'm not entirely sure. He doesn't seem to be attached to any line, or might be attached to this line right here. He could be a commander. I'm not entirely exactly sure how this is organized, but it could be like an overall commander organizing the lines here. The British are pulling back a bit, and we got this line over here moving into the flank. Now the British started off with about a 10 people advantage. And they still retain that advantage. It's hard to tell though who has lost the most men here. But as it progresses, we still got 3 British lines that are of significant numbers. It's interesting here how we see one line holding, one moving up, and then we had one. Now they've moved out of render distance, but you can see them over there actually moving away. I think, yeah, they're moving far away back to the spawn. So this one's doing a kind of a risky move by attacking on its own, and we imagine the entire French team are gonna pounce on them. And they're stuck outside of the ruins, so the French got the ruins to take cover behind. But what I'm seeing over here is, even though the French had this really nice cover, there's quite a few dead French bodies lying around here. So they lost a great number of men, and we got a fight going on here. Looks like the French lost quite a few men compared to the British, or at least in the initial volley. But then the British were taken down in the bayonet charge. So the French, in the original sort of line fighting, it looked as though the French lost 5 while the British lost 3. One of those was their captain. But then in the melee that ensued, we can see that there are no more British bodies lying around. Now this could have, of course, also been due to the fact that there was a French line flanking, being able to fire on the British, so they were caught in a crossfire there, taking a lot of casualties as they advanced to go ahead and go into a melee battle. So we got one French line over there, but at this point it looks as though the British are coordinating their attack to single out this one. We've got the larger British regiments opening fire on this one. We've got 2 Frenchmen down, a lot of shots hitting here in the sand around them, and the snow is back on. He's ordering them to form up, but then there are not a lot of Frenchmen left on this side. Still, they could probably take a few enemies down. I wonder if this line is actually preparing to fire these guys in the flank. They sort of lost the opportunity at this point. Not really. They still have the opportunity here to fire at them. They could get a volley off. But I guess they're waiting for an opportunity to strike instead. Let's see. Did we? I think we lost the other French. Oh, there they are. So the other French is actually moving up. The other French regiment. It's a pretty large one at that. So they've still got pretty sizable force, and they're looking across while they're now getting flank fire. So they're firing at the line that is further away. Not entirely sure if they hit anyone there. And then they got fired on the guys over and to the left. And now when the
British are victorious.
The round ended, time ran out, and the British had inflicted more casualties on the French than the French had on the British. So we're here for round 2, and we'll start off by looking at the French side. And compared to the British, they're really a lot faster and moving out directly from spawn. Did that bird just land right there? I don't think I've ever seen the bird this close up, or at least seeing it land like this. Oh, there he goes. Bye, Mr. Bird. The French are going heavy. They're going heavy to this side. They're not going to the ruins this time around. They're going towards the aqueduct. Now, I should probably have stated in the beginning that if you're interested in joining the 77th, there's a number of ways you can do this, but the easiest way is to find the Steam group and try to add anyone from there. Now, you would have an easier time of adding one of the NCOs and trying to speak with them And then, you know, I think there's a number of other ways. Obviously, if you comment on this video, I will try to help you out as best as possible. But as I've said, trying to add me is probably not going to work, because at this point I have almost 90 people in sort of a waiting list almost to add me on Steam. But you can type on a number of different places on this video and so forth, and you can ask to join. I'm not entirely sure if we should hand out the TeamSpeak details, but if that is agreeable, I have to check first. Then you could turn up there, and a number of people do that as well. Or you could just, I mean, if you play on public, we got a really nice attack here. The French are being able to push in 2 lines very quickly on this. Ooh, massive casualties on the French. Oh, ooh, this. What a wonderful attack by the French on this British line. The British line were focused on the one French line that was in front of them, and then in the flank the other French line came up, fired that volley, and absolutely destroyed. And if we look around here, there's one French body over there and there's one French body over there, so we've got 2 Frenchmen that was taken down compared with all of this. And I like also how the British officer was caught in front of his line, and he was almost the first one to fall there, and this guy died very interestingly. But I guess gymnastics is an important part of the daily life of a British soldier. Right, the French are continuing to hound that line that just got absolutely destroyed, and they're forced behind this this ridge here, and the flank bearer have taken up the task of leading the remnants of that line, trying to redeem itself. So at this point, the advantage in number is not that big anymore to the British side. So that loss off into the start here was very significant. Ooh, we got that French back into 2 lines there. Very nice, but we could imagine plenty of casualties gonna be inflicted here as they decide to go in 2 lines. A slight readjust by the French. They lost 2 men so far, so not too bad, but I'm guessing the British aren't really able to focus in fire here just yet. I can really, the thing is, my hand full of blisters of me burning, and sometimes it really sort of stings. So I've got this I've actually got this what we call it, like, not really a bucket, but yeah, you know what, let's call it a bucket. It's a bucket of water which I can stick my hand into. And I mean, at this point it's about 8 hours since I actually burned my hand, but it still sometimes stings because the blisters are sort of developing at this point. I guess maybe the fact that I've been keeping it in sort of cold water throughout all of this, that the blisters haven't really been able to develop too well, and they're now coming into it. I mean, touching this is... I can only imagine being caught with the stress of leading a line, and at the same time not almost being able to control the mouse as my hand is covered in blisters. Right, so at this point the French are actually falling back as 2 smaller British lines are pushing them back towards the British spawn. And I mean, the first maneuver there, that was really nice. That was an excellent maneuver. Now unfortunately I'm not entirely sure who we will credit for it, but I imagine someone in the comment section we'll go ahead and make sure that we credit the right regiments. Now, a lot of it. Ooh, we've got one movement coming in here. The French, they're moving off. The officer seems unaware of the fact we have the British ready to redeem themselves. Oh, the French are unaware. The French officer is caught unaware and is losing people here. He's lost quite a few. They're returning fire, but it might be too late. We got another one coming into the flank here. They're making a stand though. The French are making a stand. The British are forced to fall back. But now at this point they're really screwed because the flanking company has moved in and taken position within the ruin. The French are countering by charging in bayonets, but there's not that many left of them at this point. The officer goes down. The grenadier is still going strong inside. He's stabbing them one by one, I imagine. Oh, there he goes down. He takes a flag to the arse. I imagine it might be that guy that got 8-1 maybe? 8-1, damn, that guy have done a lot of damage there. The British are still coming under fire from another French regiment that's turned up, but the French are getting flank fired from the two British on the hills out there, and I think we can safely say that this one also goes into the bag of the British. Now the British have lost, seemingly maybe a regiment has moved or left the event, because suddenly the British have lost at least maybe as much as 14 players. They outnumber the French almost by 8 players before, but now it's the other way around. So I'm not entirely sure. It seems strange for a regiment to be leaving the British side since they were winning. Got the French hiding in here. Interesting strategy devised by the French here to hide. Probably shouldn't present the muskets, because that will sort of maybe expose them. Now the British are passing by, seemingly unaware of the fact that the French have hidden inside here, or they're aware and they're trying to flank around. We're gonna see where. Oh yes, the British are coming around now. They're coming around the ruins. Not entirely sure if the French have seen them. Let's see. The British are closing in. The officer is going through. Is he gonna get assassinated? Oh, he just found the French. Now the French are really stuffed at this point. We got the drummer. And he goes down. Oh, the officer goes down, and there goes the charge. That's in an absolute mess here in the ruin. Who will take this home? There's 2 French guys left. There's 1 French guy left. Pretty massive casualties on the British side here, leaving only 3 British men alive.
Victorious.
But the British team is still victorious. Round 3, and we're now at the very open field map, and this line of British troops have moved up quite far ahead of the rest of their team, and seemingly the other one is going over to the other side, so they're caught here kind of on their own at this point. We've got the French moving in 2 columns. Not entirely sure. I guess they moved up just to show themselves, and now they're marching away from the British, and the only thing that happened was they acquired a few casualties. We've got another line coming up though. That one also deciding to fall back. So even though I would say that it was kind of a bold move here by the British line to move up on its own, it seemed to have paid off, because the French just ran away. And now that when they have support on the right, the only line actually making a stand against these guys is getting hammered by this line over here. The French don't seem to... I mean, they had the advantage last round because they moved out so quickly. You know what I think might have happened? I think they might have done a team switch. Yes, I think that's what have happened. You know what? I don't even see the 77s anymore. Have they moved them to another server? I guess so. The numbers have dropped drastically. So I imagine they've moved some regiments around to make it, guess, a bit more even. And at this point, it's the... They have moved a few regiments over from the French side to the English side now. So we don't have the 77 here anymore. But I wasn't even able to really identify them anyways in the first 2 rounds, so it might not have mattered that much in how he was going for them, since obviously I want to enhance or show when they do well. 2 British lines there being able to put in a massive amount of fire on this one. So really great maneuver here by the 2 British companies there, being able to smite this smaller French line that was caught off guard from the rest of the French team. Or maybe not caught off guard, but they probably should have pulled back earlier. That's always hard to get that judgment right, when to pull, when to attack and when to pull back and so forth. You have to do it in time, because it can take quite a while to get into a safe position. Now we've got the British line on the left is actually moving back, while the one on the right is moving up, but it's got a few rocks which it can hide behind. And then we've got the British being able to get a pretty sweet flank position on the French all the way over there. Ooh! They managed to snipe the officer at this range. Well, obviously at this range it wasn't by design to shoot the officer, it was more by luck that he got taken out. A pretty sweet spot. I mean, I think they can afford to come a bit closer though, since there's no real French line here ready to take up a fight with them. Except for the one that's now moving away to take up the fight. But they probably could have gained some ground there without... oh, now they're actually moving up. Without risking too much. The French preparing to fire upon them. Let's see. One, then boom! And the British return fire. So we got 2 French casualties on this side. And I think we can see 1 British casualty. There might have been quite a few wounded on both sides, since they're firing at what would be kind of a very large distance. What is a very large distance? I say what kind of is. So a lot of the shots will not actually kill but wound the participants of this struggle here. But I think we can safely say that at this point the British, once again now, even though the teams have changed around, once again they have really stepped it up, and I think they are the ones winning here. Not entirely sure why this line here insists on moving around in double column. And now they're running about like headless chickens and just losing people. Although maybe I shouldn't say that much, because I do that myself quite often. And yeah, it looks like they're now forming into single column here. They've realized they're not, even though it's really fancy and nice to move around in double, you don't really win the war that way. So the British are able to steadily advance towards victory by giving the enemy a steady dose of British lead. Kaboom! Very nice volley there. And a very synchronized reload here. I'm moving out while reloading. Very nice, so everyone's ready. The French are moving off, and so the British see their opportunity to move up, take up the flank, and they're closing in on the French here, kind of encircling them. It all depends on if this one single British line is able to repel all these Frenchmen, because the French are going strong here, trying to break out of this encirclement. At this point, it might be well for the British officers to actually retreat the line, because if he would have fired there, the line behind the rocks would have come out, and that would have they would have been able to march up while the British line were reloading, being able to fire upon them. So, seeing as that many men were pulling forwards, he did well, the British officers, British officer, to pull back. But now it seems to be it's two lines here, one there by the rock and this smaller one versus the one near the tree, and now the other one has turned up down there in the little gully down towards the, I don't know if I should call it a road. It's not really a road because, well, it's kind of overgrown. Maybe it was a river at some point. No, it can't have been a river. I guess it is more of a road, but there's a tree stump right in the way. I'm not entirely sure. More of a animal path then, but it's a bit too wide for that. You know what? Let's not talk about that. Ooh, nice shot at this range while moving in a very spread out formation as they were falling back. They were able to shoot one French guy as he retreated. Oh, we've got melee ensuing over here, and it's hard to tell who's winning here. The French flag guys is trying to retreat there. Or I say trying, it's more of the British guy trying to stab him, but really having a hard time here. And unfortunately, oh, not only, wow, I'm not entirely sure. I guess the French didn't like the fact that the Eagle Bearer retreated. He should have stayed with his regiment and fought to the end. So they stabbed him. Might have been a mistake as well. So there's not a lot of soldiers left on the field at this point. Ooh, quite a lot of casualty there in the British line. And we got another one. It's all for the British just now to close in and end the deal, because these are the last French soldiers on the field at this point. While the British have one line over there, and then they have one line moving up here. Ooh, and they got a flanking angle on this French line. Lot of casualties for the French, and we're looking at the final part of this battle here. With this round, there's probably enough time for one more round of this. He's drawn his pistol. He takes the shot and shoots the grenadier. And then he tries to sneak around. I'm not entirely sure why he stopped there and kneeled down. That wasn't going to help him, but once again, the British are victorious. Right, we're back here for round 4, I believe, which should be the last one, because we don't really have enough time to do a 5th one. We can see 2 lines moving up here, and then we got one on the other side. The French are moving out in great numbers. Ooh, I want to see this one when that one... They're still moving out in double column. I don't see that being a winning strategy at this point. And I haven't really seen what kind of damage they are able to inflict, but most of the time I just see them as this big lumbering target, and this time they're so close to the British lines there, getting absolutely destroyed. I'm not entirely sure what the officer is doing at this point. Running straight for the British line. He's just gonna get destroyed. And he doesn't have the men to back him up at this point. The British are just relocating. There goes the officer. And bad move there. Bad move by the French. The line scattered. 4 men remain. 1 is running. I don't know where he's going. And the entire line was utterly devastated. So really, really bad move there. Maybe it will allow the other French to... no, it doesn't look good for the French team at this point. That line was utterly destroyed. We got 1 survivor, more or less. And now the rest of the French team is falling back. And this is not even the full force of the British team either. I mean, we got a huge line over there that seemingly has done nothing. So it's really down to these two that have taken on the French in really great numbers and come out victorious. I mean, look at the death rate here of, I imagine it was the 45th Regiment then. It might have been something else, but given the amount of 45th that are already dead, they did not perform well, going in double. Now I get into that argument quite a few times about double column, how well it works sometimes. Here we can really see that it's not that great, although it wasn't at that point performed that well, since it was split up and there was a number of things going on there with the line. But when you get to a certain point, I figure that the commander realized, you know what, we're fucked. We're not going to get any less unfucked. So since it's basically last round, I guess we'll just, I mean, at some point you cannot step, you've already stepped so deep in the quagmire that, you know what, why don't you push the entire force of your foot on it and just get it over with. But this will be a very stunning victory for the British team, which have had a really great time throughout this battle of these four rounds here. This is, I mean, look at this stunning victory. They start off with five players less, and
the British are victorious.
within 5 minutes or something like that, they have entirely destroyed the French side. God save the Queen.